It's The Log. I'm Charles Purcell. And if you want to register to vote in Georgia, sorry to say you're a day late. Yesterday was the deadline for voter registration. So I hope you got that taken care of. Of course, the big runoff election, January 5th. Early voting starts December 14th. We have been encouraging listeners to move to Georgia, to register to vote. But now that's over. Now we just have to get out the vote of the people who are there. And in a little example of life imitating art here, our suggestion on moving to Georgia was mostly tongue-in-cheek. It wasn't entirely. I mean, Georgia's a very nice place. I've been to Georgia. And Atlanta is a happening city. So if you wanted to move to Georgia, make a life there, more power to you. It's great. And if you're going to do it, no better time than to beat that December 7th deadline and register to vote. But here's a story. Georgia is investigating a Florida lawyer who planned to, in fact, I guess did, try to register to vote. Let's see what this story says. What are we reading right now? This is the AP. Election officials are investigating the actions of a Florida lawyer who they say tried to register to vote in a high-stakes runoff in Georgia that will decide control of the U.S. Senate. I guess he was listening to the show. Took my advice. They say he was also captured on video urging other Floridians to do the same. Moving to Georgia just to vote with no intention of staying in the state afterward can amount to a felony, Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger said in a statement Thursday announcing the investigation. Oh, I guess Raffensperger is still on the job. He's pretty busy these days with the whole voting and revoting and recounting and counting and recounting. By the way, Georgia just confirmed for the third time, not once, not twice, 3 times now they've confirmed that the Orange Menace lost. Oh, so much losing. The lawyer, Bill Price, of Panama City, went online and attempted to register to vote using the address of his brother in Hiram, Georgia, said Deidre Holden, the elections supervisor in Paulding County, Georgia. The system put his registration in a pending status because he didn't provide a Georgia driver's license number or other proof of address. See, now, when I was suggesting that you move to Georgia, I was never suggesting that you break the law. I was never suggesting that you move there just to vote with no intention of living there. That's not cool. And I hope I made that clear when I made my pitch. You know what? Now that I think about it, I'm sure I did not make that clear because it just kind of seemed obvious I didn't even mention it. No, don't move there and then just leave as soon as you voted. No, actually move there. Georgia's a nice place. WSB-TV in Atlanta reported Thursday that Price is seen in a now deleted Facebook live video speaking to the Bay County GOP members in Florida on November 7th and encouraging others to also register in Georgia. Quote, "We absolutely have to hold the Senate, and we have to start fighting back, and we have to do whatever it takes," Price said in the video, according to the WSB-TV Channel 2 Action News report. We still have Action News out there. People are still using that? Oh, that's funny. I didn't know that was still a thing. I thought that was over in the 70s. People are still using the term Action News? That's just funny. Price continued, "And if that means changing your address for the next 2 months, so be it. I'm doing that. I'm moving to Georgia, and I'm going to fight, and I want you all to fight with me." See, this is just against the law. You can't do this. I never intended this with my pitch. No. You're going to move there to vote. You're going to live there. You're going to make the commitment. And let me, as long as we're on the subject here, I think I did a whole long segment on it a while ago, but just to remind you, I encourage blue voters, lefties, in California, in New York, in Chicago, in Portland, all the places that don't need you, okay? There's plenty of lefties. These states are solid blue, and they will be for the foreseeable future. I would just love to see masses of blue voters move to Georgia, move to North Carolina, come here to Wisconsin, go to all the swing states, move there, live there. You can find great places. Even the reddest of the red states has a cool little blue city in it somewhere. You can depend on it. You can absolutely bank on that. You can have a very nice life, and depending on where you live now and where you move to, your cost of living is going to go down. It's going to be less crowded. Oh, there's just so many good reasons for people in solid blue states to move to swing states. And the whole point, of course, if I'm not making this obvious, then we just take over. I've said till I'm blue in the face, no pun intended, that we outnumber them. The good people outnumber the bad people. Lefties outnumber right-wingers. We got the numbers. And if we distribute ourselves more evenly around the country, we'll absolutely take over. So I highly encourage this. No, not just using your brother-in-law's address to vote. No, I don't encourage breaking the law. I never do. I mean, live there. Live in these wonderful places and turn them blue. And if enough people do this, now we got every mayor's office, we have every city council, we have every school board, we have every state legislature, and we deliver the electoral college vote to the liberal every time. And over time, it's not just a liberal, it's a progressive. And over time, it's not just a progressive, it's a damn socialist. And we get this thing done. And we move this country left where it ought to be. Left, 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 left. That's where we got to march to. We got to march left. But not unlawfully like this guy. This is not about Republican or Democrat. This is about doing what's right, Holden told the AP on Thursday. Everybody's always screaming the elections are fraudulent. No, we're trying to do our job. Yeah, they are trying to do their job in Georgia, Georgia. Of course, you know by now that the Orange Menace solicited Governor Kemp of Georgia to call the legislature into session and toss out the legitimate votes of Georgians and instead name him, the Orange Menace, the winner. And the legislature does technically have the power to do that, but it would be insane, and thank goodness they didn't. The Orange Menace had the same personal request to the governors of Arizona and Pennsylvania, both of whom rejected the request as well. So, there is some good news on this front. The whole sprint to fascism that the Orange Menace was trying to achieve really was scary and real and legitimate. So we really should, I think, take a moment to appreciate those three governors and state legislatures. Michigan also was courted, of course not the governor because he's not talking to her, to that woman, Governor Whitmer. But he did court the Michigan State Legislature. They also turned him down. And of course, Rudy, COVID-positive Rudy, melting hair Rudy, farting Rudy, also, of course, made the rounds and was asking the same thing. Well, just toss out the votes. Your legislature, your state legislature can name the electors. So 3 cheers for the system working here. Many of us were legitimately concerned, but now really very thankful that the Orange Menace and Rudy lay on my back to tuck in my shirt Giuliani have just lost time after time after time. No success. The latest count I have is 1 win and 49 losses in court cases, and a few out there still pending. But so far the record is 1 and 49. See, that's good. This is good. The whole strategy all along for years has been to fill the courts with ultra-conservative judges. So when a time like this came up, they could be counted on to jump on the fascist bandwagon. And it's not working. So let's appreciate the good news. Yep, 1 win, 49 losses. That's quite a record. Even in Congress, some success. As we talked about, I think we mentioned it yesterday, the defense authorization bill, which is still obscenely close to $1 trillion. But that notwithstanding, the good news is that the items that the Orange Menace was insisting on in the defense bill, things like maintaining Confederate names for bases and some other things I forget now off the top of my head, but he had some items he was insisting on it and threatening to veto. And Congress totally turning their back on him. No, we're not having it. They're moving ahead with the COVID relief bill. There's plenty of controversy there, but again, the Orange Menace not really part of the equation at all. What he wants or doesn't want is pretty much irrelevant at this point. So these are all examples of good news, showing that fascism did not win the day and is not winning the day. The vaccine summit that's going to happen today. Yeah, he called this a bogus little meeting at the White House, and he invited Moderna and Pfizer, the two big vaccine producers, to this White House event. And they both declined because they didn't want to get into the politics of all of this. Good for them. Yeah, he's just every day, just loss after loss, embarrassment after embarrassment. It's fantastic. Now, of course, we can't spike the football quite yet. He still has 70+ million deplorables out there. And in a Washington Post survey that's getting a lot of attention, because of his hold on the deplorables, only 27 congressional Republicans will even acknowledge that Joe Biden won the presidency. Now, we're 1 month out, right, from election? Month and a week. Yeah. According to this Washington Post survey, 2 Republicans actually consider the Orange Menace the winner. They're on board with him. Yeah, he won. Only the fraud keeps him from... Lord. And a total of 220 GOP members of the House and Senate, about 88% of all Republicans serving in Congress, will simply not say who won the election. So we're still there. And that's just weird and a little bit scary. Yeah, the 2 Republican candidates in the Georgia runoff refuse to acknowledge the Biden win. Just the same old line. Oh, the president has every right to pursue all legal avenues. Of the 15 House Republicans who recognize Biden as the true winner, 6 are retiring from politics at the end of this month. 6 out of the 15. And 2 more represent districts that Biden won convincingly. So these aren't big profiles in courage, necessarily. So even though he's still a menace, and we can't let our guard down, there is some good news to report. Yeah, he's still keeping the Biden team from certain very important intelligence briefings, etc. I guess Biden is getting the daily intelligence report. But yeah, there's information out there that's still being withheld from the Biden team by the Orange Menace. Locking in personnel that would normally serve at the new president's prerogative, but somebody on the Orange Menace team had the bright idea. I mean, he's too dumb to think of this himself. He certainly doesn't know the mechanics of government. But somebody in there does, and they said, hey, you know what? We can change the status of thousands of employees, federal employees. We can hire loyalists, tweak their status, and then Biden can't fire them. So he's making every attempt to literally infiltrate the federal government with his own loyalists. And by the way, when have you ever heard the term loyalist used in reference to American politics until the Orange Menace came along? It's not a term we used here in America. It's a term we used, internationally speaking, for dictators and thugs, rogue politicians. You know, we were used to this kind of language when talking about other nations. And loyalist was a term we would hear. We've never heard that term before in America. I know I didn't. And now it's commonplace. Reporters just rolls right off their tongue. Oh, Trump loyalists. What? That's not right. Well, I know who I'm loyal to. I'm loyal to the brave fighters who will storm Michigan's UP and reclaim it for glory of Wisconsin. This is a Facebook event created by Meme-Walkie, and it's a wonderful little tongue-in-cheek. I hope nobody gets upset by this. It's just very funny. Yeah, they've created an event, and so far over 4,000 people are interested. I'll have to add my name to that. To storm the UP and reclaim it for glory of Wisconsin. Michigan's Upper Peninsula used to be part of the Wisconsin Territory until a disagreement between Ohio and Michigan gave the coveted copper country to the Oven Mitt State. It's time we retake what is rightfully ours. And people are really having fun with this. They are creating and exchanging memes, and there's a whole long timeline here of folks who are very excited about reclaiming Michigan's UP for the glory of Wisconsin. This I put in the same category as the mysterious monoliths. People just having fun, creating memes for each other. Here's one picture of Father Marquette, of course, the namesake of Marquette, Michigan. Father Marquette's statue toppled in the UP by troops from Madison. And then the next meme has the statue of Father Marquette replaced with the bronze fawns mounted in place of Father Marquette's statue in UP to celebrate victory over the Yoopers. You know the bronze fawns, right? A bronze statue of Arthur Fonzarelli that currently stands on the Riverwalk in downtown Milwaukee. But yeah, after we defeat the Yoopers, bronze fawns mounted in Marquette. Marinette will be our staging ground for the invasion. Onward to Escanaba. So the log site of the day is Meme-Walkie. Good for you guys. And good for all of your followers. Just bringing some good fun to the world. Oh, by the way, the date. I didn't tell you the date. Saturday, December 19th, if you want to join this Meme-Walkie event. Saturday, December 19th, noon Central Time. Storm Michigan's UP and reclaim it for glory of Wisconsin. I just love that. Oh, hey, I want to toss a recommendation to you. I'm not going to spend any time really on the conversation. Just want to point you to something. Noam Chomsky just had a birthday. Yeah, yesterday, December 7th. Turned 92 years old. And he's got a really great interview on truthout.org. Truthout.org. I'll link it to the Facebook page. Talking about anarchism and mutual aid. Two terms, two concepts, two movements that we need to have a better understanding of. Here, let me read just a little bit from Noam Chomsky. We should bear in mind that the term anarchism covers quite a wide range of thinking and activities. The term itself has a derogatory connotation thanks to the workings of the whole world propaganda system over the years. The term anarchism has come to mean to people something like violence and terror, destruction, elimination of all order and organization, and so on. But that's not what the mainstream of anarchism ever was. Fringes were, but anarchism calls for a highly organized society, but organized by the participants without illegitimate hierarchy and domination. That calls for a high degree of organization, but based on solidarity, mutual concern, cooperation, shared information and understanding, and so on. So that's just the first little bit of an interview that I highly recommend, and I'm going to share with you on the Facebook page. Noam Chomsky, mutual aid is rising, and it's key to our survival. I'll just point you to that interview, and happy birthday, Noam Chomsky. What a treasure that guy is. Yeah, anarchism and mutual aid are the basic tenets of this program. No hierarchy. Side-by-side cooperation. The role of money just eviscerated. No reason it can't be done. Speaking of words that get maligned unjustly, socialism right at the top of that list. Conservatives, Republicans have done it for decades. Seemed to reach a high point with the 2020 election, where every single Democrat running was labeled a socialist. Not only a socialist, but a radical socialist. That's what Kelly Loeffler keeps calling Raphael Warnock down in Georgia. Keeps calling him a radical socialist, which is ridiculous on its face. It's almost become comical. My radical socialist opponent. But while we're here, just a second to kind of reset the show here, reset what we're all about. We're about freedom. We're about anarchy. And yes, we're about socialism, but it's a very difficult and complex word because there are the democratic socialists of Scandinavia, and that's Bernie and AOC. Then there are the actual socialists who are talking about eliminating private property, private ownership, not to be confused with personal property. Yes, you still own your clothes. Nobody can come and just take your coat off your back. No, we're talking about ownership of land, of whole industries. All of that should be held in the commons. Now, the fear of that, and it's a legitimate fear that does need to be respected, is that then the state owns all the land and the means of production, and as such, operate industries, factories, all aspects of business. And I would share that fear if you define the state as a small group of the elite political class. Then, yes, I'm with you. But on the other hand, if you have a lateral power structure where democracy rules at every level of politics and industry, I don't fear that. Not at all. That would be my goal. Public ownership operated under the rules of true, vibrant democracy at every level. Now we're talking. And that's where I am. And that's always our starting point here on The Log. As we talk about the news of the day, sometimes we might lose sight of that. I just, take this opportunity to reset that. A little reminder. So, for example, when we talk about Joe Biden, and every day these days he's rolling out new personnel and new teams. We've had his economic team, his national security team, intelligence, communications, environment, climate change. And with each of these rollouts, all this response comes. And he's getting hit pretty hard from both sides. A lot of folks going through that revolving door one more time between lobbying and serving in government. From our point of view, from the anarchist socialist point of view, no one in the rollout so far has got us turning cartwheels, not by a long stretch. Of course, you always have to put it in relative terms. There's no denying we're happy that the Orange Menace is on his way out and his whole team of radical right-wingers, crooks, and fascists. So, of course, we're happy about that. But on the environment, for example, environmental groups are not happy. Groups that really went all in with money and support, part of the coalition that we keep talking about. And see, that's the thing. Everybody can take credit for putting Biden over the top. The Greens can take credit. Black Americans can take credit. The LGBTQ community can take credit. The progressives can take credit. The moderates, everybody, every faction of the coalition put him over the top. Each one of them can take credit. And so each one of these factions expects some payback. Hey, we put you over the top. You better give us something in policy and in personnel. Well, it's just a matter of simple arithmetic that Joe's going to have a hard time satisfying every faction of this broad coalition. So I don't necessarily blame him. He's doing his best. But yeah, from our point of view, we're not happy. Jamie Henn, director of 350.org, was quoted this week as saying, "The honeymoon ended at the altar when the networks pronounced Biden president-elect." Yeah, they're fossil fuel people in the new cabinet. League of Conservation Voters, Sierra Club, Sunrise PAC. A lot of people really unhappy. Greenpeace climate campaigner Charlie Jiang said his group will pressure Biden to declare climate change an emergency on day one, uphold a campaign pledge to end fossil fuel leasing on federal lands, block big oil pipelines like Keystone. The Sierra Club also said it will be pressing Biden on those issues. And you'll see the same dynamics in play in every department of the new administration. And the big announcement today, Secretary of Defense, a pretty damn important position, and it's going to be retired General Lloyd Austin. And not only a retired general, but current board member of Raytheon, one of the major players in the military-industrial complex, supplying all your favorite deadly weapons to your favorite warmongers of the day. So, plenty of reason to not be happy about this. The very fact that he's a retired general is a little weird. When the Orange Menace did this, it was almost unprecedented. You had to go back in history to find the last time a high-ranking military, either serving or recently retired, was named for this post. They had to get a special waiver from Congress because from the founding of this country, that's not how this is designed. You're not supposed to have military serving in the civilian leadership. And so that's kind of odd. Why would you pull that out of the Orange Menace playbook? Because again, Austin is going to require a congressional waiver to even be considered for the post. Civilian leadership is at the heart of our system, and I'm really kind of surprised that that didn't end with the Orange Menace. And the fact that he comes right off the board of Raytheon, looking at a good article from Common Dreams here, one journalist pointed out Raytheon is a key supplier of bombs to the U.S.-Saudi war in Yemen that has lobbied aggressively in opposition to curbs on arms sales to the Saudi-led coalition. So here's someone who comes right from the trenches of war profiteering. And regarding our conversation about socialism, anarchism, the role of money, this kind of an appointment raises issues that go right to the heart of that. It's all about money. It's all about power. And what institution reflects these existential problems more perfectly than Raytheon, than the Pentagon? I mean, the military-industrial complex is the most blatant, quintessential institution of our time that absolutely represents this deadly relationship of power and money. Yep, the honeymoon is over. Absolutely, the honeymoon is absolutely over with Joe. There's a lot of nice window dressing. There's a lot of nice little diversity. But so far, I'm seeing zero game changers. No, this is, as Joe promised, back to normal. To the extent that the Orange Menace and his fascists are out of the picture, that's great. But to go back to a normal that brought us the Orange Menace in the first place, nope. Not going to cut it. Sorry, Joe. No honeymoon for you. But as you are putting your defense team together, I will ask you to support our December 19th Me-Milwaukee event as we storm Michigan's Upper Peninsula and reclaim it for glory of Wisconsin. Maybe you could loan us a couple of tanks. All right. Okay, you guys. Enough said today. Enough said. You know I love you. I'm Charles Purcell. I'll talk to you tomorrow.